Hi, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video I want to talk about diet and food and some common misconceptions in regards to what are we supposed to be eating as a dietary choice or a lifestyle choice in regards to what we're supposed to be putting as a fuel source for the human body. Now, one thing I've got to mention to start off with is that we're all individuals, so we're all going to be different. So we all need to find out what really works well for our body. And instead of looking at that as a burden, should be looking at it as a journey process, and enjoying it, because when you're going through this process, you're trying different things and trying new things, and it makes it exciting, instead of, because essentially the majority of the population just eat 8 or 10 of the same foods, day in, day out. And just use them in different ways, but they're essentially using the same particular product all the time. So it can be quite exciting when you do have to change up and try things, and look at it in that way, on a positive note, that you're at the same time you're learning a lot of information about all these different nutritional things and different things you eat and taste. And at the same time you're learning a little bit about how your body works and the way it's going to respond to certain things. Now, another thing, there's some simple principles to go ahead with in regards to diet, is that we want to be really eating a whole foods diet. And I think if we said to everybody just eat a whole foods diet, I think essentially everybody could do that. And that's essentially foods that don't have a barcode on it. And if they do have a barcode on it, then you want to be looking at the ingredients list, becoming aware of what's on the ingredients list. And if there's anything on the ingredients list, and you don't know what it is, please look up and find out what that is. Because we really want to be staying away from these numbers that are on the ingredients list. Such as the preservatives, the additives, the artificial flavors, the artificial coloring, flavor enhancers, and so on. And also, keywords like hydrolyzed, as well as partially hydrolyzed, and words like that, because this is words that they put on the label that is a form of processing involved. Which can turn actually a natural food into something that's not so natural and is actually very harmful to you. So you have to become aware of these things. And really what that says is that the most important thing on a packet or of a food product that is packaged is you want to be looking at the ingredients list. They're looking at the nutritional panel, how much is protein, how much is carbohydrate, and how much is fat is not as important. You want to be eating foods that the body can recognize and utilize, because if it's something that's been processed heavily or something that is not natural, then the body looks at it as foreign, and it's going to cause a lot of health problems for you. So, simple principle, try and eat a whole foods diet as much as possible. Asking that question, do I see this food in nature or do I not? Just some really simple things. Another thing in regards to you want to learn how to be able to do intermittent fasting, so going periods of time where you can control. This is all about creating control and going without food or a certain food group. It doesn't have to be going without food completely. It might just mean for the first half of the day I'm just going to be drinking liquids, and that could be food in a liquid form, a smoothie, a juice, a couple of smoothies or a couple of juices for that first half of the day, or drinking a lot more water. Realizing the quality of the water is very important, not just the quantity. Looking at what type of water am I drinking, what are the options of water I can drink, all these sorts of things. And you realize how important water is. It's more important than food. We can go a lot longer without food than we can with water. So that just says that water is more important than food. Okay, and there's not enough emphasis in regards to diet about, hey, well, what type of water am I drinking? There's so much emphasis on what I'm eating, and we forget about what about the quality of our water that we're drinking. Now, carbohydrates. It's not about protein being good at the moment, carbohydrates being bad. It's not putting like the baby out with the bath water. It's about looking at, vegetables are carbohydrates, for example. Fruits carbohydrate. So we're looking at quality carbohydrates. So it comes back to, again, what is found in nature. Okay, and vegetables are the best carbohydrate you can get. And if you're really into vegetables, you should be creating, say, 3/4 of your plate just being vegetables. And especially, I think, leafy green vegetables, majority of us are very deficient in, because it's got high chlorophyll count in it, and the central atom of chlorophyll is magnesium, and we are massively deficient in magnesium. And leafy greens are super important, especially for people that have respiratory problems, asthma, and breathing difficulties. Leafy greens are very important for the lungs and the respiratory system. But vegetables are fantastic. We need to be eating a lot more of them. I think we eat too much fruit. When we get into this whole thing about eating a whole foods diet, and you used to have this thing 5 a day of getting vegetables and fruit, and there was so much emphasis on that fruit, and I think vegetable kind of got nudged out of the way, because it's we need a mixture of palates, this taste phenomenon in our diet, not just the sweet things. We need to embrace bitter and sour and all these salty and all these sorts of things, and I think the vegetables, they're not so sweet, so therefore that kind of got pushed aside, and we went down the wrong track in regards to eating too much fruit, because fruit, even though it's natural, it does have a lot of sugar in it, and there's no doubt about it's far superior than processed forms of sugar. There's no doubt about that, because all the phytonutrients and all these other minerals and vitamins that go along with the sugars that are within fruit enable us to control that a bit better, the way we metabolize the sugar. But we still have to be careful with the amount of sugar that we're eating, and I kind of feel that we need to be eating a lot more vegetables than we are eating fruit. Also, this nonsense in regards to high protein, low carbs at the moment. That seems to be the biggest fad diet out there at the moment, and we can actually get into a lot of problems by eating too much protein. And again, it comes down to the quality of the protein again. Going back to that principle again, is it natural? Is it not? And I see a lot of people out there that are eating, a lot of protein, and they're eating all these protein bars. And you look at the ingredients on the protein bars, they're not very good. There's a lot of chemicals within those bars, and there's a lot of processing that's occurred. Things like isolated soy protein, isolated whey protein, and those sorts of things. Now, when you see the word isolated, that there's a form of processing that's occurred there, and these are not great forms of protein. They're really not. You don't digest them very well. You don't utilize them very well. They actually cause a lot of problems within the body, and there's also a lot of other things and additives within those bars. So I'm not a big fan of those, and I think there's too much emphasis on high protein. I think everyone differs, and this goes back to at the start of this video, that everyone is an individual, and some people are going to do better on a more higher protein diet. Doesn't mean processed protein. Okay, we want to get into natural forms of protein. They may do better on that higher protein ratio than carbohydrate, but there might be somebody that does well on higher form of carbohydrate and a lower protein. Now, when I'm talking high carbohydrate, I'm not talking about all this processed garbage in regards to carbohydrates, the processed sugars and the flour and white flour and all those sorts of things. I'm talking about vegetables as your main calorie source for carbohydrate. So another thing that gets missed so often is fats. One problem that fat has got going for it is that it's called fat, and people just think, well, I'm eating fat, it's going to put on fat on me, and I tell you, that's not correct. Eating processed forms of protein puts on weight. Eating processed forms of carbohydrate puts on weight. So you're getting the picture in this video. It's all about the processing. How natural is this protein, this macronutrient protein, or this macronutrient carbohydrate, or fat? It all comes down to what's natural and eating things in a more of a pure form. Okay, and that is really the key. And if you eat fats in its pure form, and and the right fat. So when I'm talking about fat, I'm talking about coconut. Coconut is excellent. Do you know what? Coconut is 92% saturated fat. And if you go by the myth of, saturated fat causes disease, causes heart disease, then you're going to miss out. And this is what probably the last 2 or 3 decades humanity has missed out in regards to diet is saturated fats as well as other fats. Again, it comes down to, are they natural? How processed have they been? The more processing that occurs, the more detrimental it is going to be to your health. So eating natural coconut and coconut oil and this thing, even though it's 92% saturated fat and all these sorts of things, it's fantastic. It's a great fuel for energy. Fat is the best fuel for energy. It's if you're using fat as a fuel source instead of carbohydrate, you're going to be losing weight, even though you're eating fat. So saturated fats, coconut, butter, get rid of the margarine. Margarine's processed. Okay, butter's real. Okay, ghee, which is a clarified form of butter, even better. It's even better than butter, and it's fantastic. And saturated fats are great for using in cooking because they're very stable oils, stable fats. They won't deteriorate with light or heat, and that's the key to saturated fats. And that's where we went wrong with vegetable oils. Vegetable oils are a polyunsaturated form majority of the time. They also do have monounsaturated fat, which talk about the benefits of olive oil and avocados because the monounsaturated fat. But the problem is that they degrade very quickly with heat, and they degrade very quickly with light. And if you're going to get a polyunsaturated oil or even a monounsaturated oil, you want to get it in dark glasses, because at least the people that make that oil and produce that oil, they know what they're talking about. Okay, they've got a dark glass bottle trying to protect that product. You don't want to be getting those vegetable oils in clear glass, because the light, by the time you buy that product, that oil is rubbish. It's going to cause problems to your health, including, and I put olive oil in that as well, and avocado oil and those sorts of things. So you want to be very careful about that. Okay, and there's a lot of misconceptions in regards to fats. Now, obviously, there's always upgrades with your dietary choices. Okay, organic food's a great upgrade, and I've heard the little quip, people saying, well, it's so expensive, but why isn't it? Why is it so expensive? Because the marketplace for it's not that high, because people are still going to their supermarket and they're buying this food that have been sprayed with chemicals, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, all these sorts of things, which are an invisible poison. And these are chemicals that the people that go on the field and spray, they've got to wear protective clothing for their own health. Okay, and then you're buying that product from the supermarket and eating it. Now, do I eat 100% organic? No, I don't, because I understand it's we can't. All of us cannot afford to do that. But there are lists that you can look up if you just Google it and find out certain fruits and vegetables that pesticides are used more on and some that aren't, and really look up this information, because then you can buy produce from your supermarket, certain foods that haven't been sprayed with a lot of pesticides, and you can make a wise decision. And for the things that are sprayed heavily, including strawberries, you want to go on the side of buying it organic. So there are little things to keep, have some awareness in regards to. Now, other things is, as I said earlier, you want to be looking at the ingredients list. You want to know what you're eating. You want to be a conscious consumer of these products. Also, there are little cheats that you can do, upgrades. For example, if you like potato chips, and crisps for the people in the UK, then you can make an upgrade. There's always an upgrade. A lot of the chips, the flavored chips that you buy, they're heavily laden with flavor enhancers to make that chip taste tasty. And really, if that wasn't on there, it would be bland. And that's just tricking your taste buds to think that you're eating proper food, but you're not. That's just a cheat. And no excitotoxins, which cause issues with the nervous system and the brain. Now, you want to be looking for products that have chips that have 2 or 3 or 4 ingredients on it, not 20 or 30 like some of them have. And there are wiser decisions you can make in every category of whatever you're buying. You don't have to go without, and this is the key in regards to eating. Is you want to be, when you're eating something, you want to be thinking about what nutrition is in this food, but at the same time you want to be eating something tasty, because if it's tasty, at least you'll go back to it and keep doing it. This whole thing about starvation diets is that you're eating food that you don't want to eat, and you're removing the food you do want to eat, and it's never going to work, because if you eat something and it tastes bland and it doesn't taste very good, are you going to want to continue to go back to it? You're not going to. It's never. When it comes to getting into nutrition, eating the right things, it needs to be a lifestyle thing. So it needs to be something you enjoy, okay? Something that you love to do. And learning about nutrition, learning about something that's only going to benefit you in the long run, there's nothing better to learn about. So you have to really appreciate the journey in regards to trying new things, but trying things that taste good, okay? But again, going back to eating them in their original form as much as possible. That is really the key, and it's doable for a majority of people. Sometimes when people go to the extremes of a raw food diet, 100% raw food, or 100% vegan, 100% vegetarian, if you're happy and comfortable doing that, by all means do it. But if you're not happy or comfortable doing it, then all of a sudden you get these feelings of guilt and shame and all these negative vibrational thoughts that are more damaging than you just going out and eating a burger and fries. So make it simple, make it something that tastes great, be more involved in what you're making, make more stuff instead of buying stuff to eat. Create your own garden, or create your own little herb garden. Get into the kitchen and start experimenting things. Don't look up recipes online all the time. Just get a bunch of stuff and make something with it, and see how you go with it. It's a whole learning experience, and it's a very enjoyable learning experience. For me personally, when I had issues when I was a teenager and I had to remove gluten at the time, and dairy products and all that stuff, at the time it was, it was difficult. There's no doubt about that. But I look back at that time, and I think, and I reflect on that now, and it was a blessing that happened to me, because all of a sudden I got to try different foods and try different things that replace those things, and realize that, hey, you can really change your reality and your life, and change your health by just what you're eating and what you're drinking, and the way you look at life, and the way that you look at what you eat on a daily. So anyway, I hope you've gained some insights into how to go about living a healthy lifestyle, and making some choices in regards to your dietary choices. I hate the word diet, because it actually has the word die in it. We should be living it. And that's about enjoying what we're eating, of course. But don't starve yourself, and as I say, there's always an upgrade, and this upgrade's all about, reducing. If you're buying a packaged product, food packaged product, less ingredients the better. Learning what those ingredients are. If there's numbers on it, you really probably don't want to be eating that thing, because it's not going to be good for you. Being wise about the fats that you buy, wise about the quality of the protein that you're buying, not just about the quantity of it. Again, that's where that nutritional panel on the back of in the label is really misguiding people. The ingredients list is where the real truth is, and you want to be going towards that. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Post some comments below, ask as many questions as you like. I'm happy to answer those. Cheers.